Let me give you my perspective from the experiences what I have had so far and the projects what we have received from American Chemical Society or European Union projects, DST, and for other funding agencies as well, even some of the philanthropy funding. Let me give you a gist. Since yesterday there are so many questions about funding and the review process, and being as a reviewer for 5 countries for science and technology, including Croatia, Italy, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, and Korea, even in India, there are lots of processes and the clear-cut guidelines for reviewers. I'll be covering lot of information here, and I'll be giving you basic information also, since there are many research scholars present here. It's not just about the applications of research, it's also how exactly you have to follow the guidelines and rules and regulations when you conduct your research ethically. So that is one of the most important thing where you can achieve the things at a greater heights. This is what. And another thing, just now I have to acknowledge the previous co-speakers since yesterday morning until Dr. Murali Mohan sir. Everybody was speaking about collaborations, how we have to conduct research, and how in specific area we have to excel. Let me talk about the very first thing what I have mentioned here is why research excellence matters in academia or in Indian academia. It's not about Indian academia. You can think the academia or research everywhere in the world is almost or approximately same. Being served with 4 to 5 countries in my career, and currently I'm serving about 7 countries as visiting professor. Merely the rules, guidelines, roles and responsibilities of a professor, of a researcher, of an academician is almost same. Because here several vice chancellors, former vice chancellors, academicians, administrators, even the administrative people from the government also is sitting here. So every one of us knows that what are the guidelines, roles and responsibilities of any academician, and why research excellence matter. Need for balance, global impact versus local needs. Finally, aligning with India's academic aspirations. Again, I can again acknowledge Dr. Murali Mohan sir's slide, where again individual or cluster, multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary. So basically, we have to understand the importance of academic research in shaping the society. Why only we are talking about Indian scenario? Because there are lots of processes with little bit lacuna. Again, I reiterate what sir has mentioned. There is lacuna in the processes, and there is lacuna where we are also practicing the policies, without practicing the guidelines. Tremendous potential growing with global footprints. Why we must focus on research excellence? So as again, there was one question yesterday, because my slides were different, then I thought, okay, based on this crowd present here, I thought to change the slides according to the needs and requirements of the audience. Here, we must always understand that quantity is definitely not a matter, but quality matters. That's why high quality, peer reviewed and impactful work. Coming to the previous speakers' words, again I will come to the topic. When we propose any proposal to any funding agencies, I'm only talking from my opinion, where I have got few millions of dollars projects so far. So the objective of the project is most important. You should not be having lots of objectives in one project. You can have specific objectives, maybe 3 or 4. 4 is also heavy. 3 specific objectives and 1 general objective. So that is where quality comes into the picture, and the title should suits to your objectives, and again objectives should match with your expected outcomes. And majority of the times, as again sir mentioned, in a hurry, in stress, we submit the proposals as if to reach the number of proposals to be submitted by an institution. My dear friends, I suggest all of us, including me, that we should not submit the proposals in a hurry. Always try to give the importance to the high quality, because I returned from abroad after 14 years of service. Since 3 years, I've got about 7 to 8 crores projects from DST and other agencies. It is not definitely tough, and we are blaming the system, for our own conveniences. That is what I feel. Otherwise, if we have quality proposals and quality, let it be proposal, let it be publication. If you have quality in your publication, go to the high impact factor journals. Then you get lots of citations automatically. You don't have to make jugaad for lots of citations. That is what I heard from other peers. We don't have to make jugaad, and we don't have to do lots of gaga about citations, H-index and other things. If you are doing quality work, automatically citations come, automatically your H-index will go up. Innovation, originality and rigor. Again, sir was mentioning about rigor. Former Vice Chancellor, sir was asking the question about rigor. So this is what we talk about, originality and rigor. You should have that, integrity. Integrity is the one where in a thin hairline, it's a very shadow or gray area for many people. So integrity is the one which we do the right things when nobody is doing, when nobody is watching. So that's where all these things comes into the picture. Ethical, reproducible and societally relevant. Majority of the times why people, we hear sometimes say the particular lab has got 5 crores funding. The particular lab has got 10 crores funding. So we also got recently, let me give you my example. 2023, we have got an European funding with worth of 10 crores, where I'm one of the principal investigators, and the funding is parking in Malaysia, where we have given multidisciplinary projects. Again, I have to reiterate what co-speakers have mentioned so far. Multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary collaborations, whether it can be long-term or short-term. Collaborations is a very, 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 very dynamic thing, and also very delicate thing. It can break anywhere, because humans are always full of egos. So when a collaborator is going forward, maybe another collaborator will try to pull you down. So that's where you have to understand how the terms and conditions you are putting before you writing the proposal, and before you submit it to the funding agencies. Once you get the funding, you will be having the clarity what percentage of the work will be done in one particular laboratory, what particular work is done in another laboratory. In the same manner, we have got another funding from American Chemical Society, where it was an outreach program where we have to serve for the whole country. And then that is also again in a collaborative manner, where every state we have got the people to work on that project. So driving national innovations, majorly research always leads to solutions in agriculture, health, energy and other areas as well. Because engineering into high considerations, nanotechnology for that matter, everywhere research always leads to the solutions. Again, we have to be very specific to the objective and the quality titles what we give. And one more thing I have to give you the clarification that majority of the proposals, because being as a reviewer for several funding agencies in India and abroad, based on the title, majority of the proposals will get scrutinized out. We don't go through the proposal first. First understand the theme of the proposal, what the funding agencies have, announced, and whether the particular candidate, the researcher, has followed the guidelines or theme of that particular call. You might have followed the call for proposals of past, or you might have prepared something. Then based on the, the target of your institution, you might have definitely submitted it. But unfortunately, if it is not following in the particular theme of the call for papers or call for proposals announcement, then in the very first stage, based on your title, the proposal will be, kept aside. Second thing is, if your title is good, then go to the objectives. Then again, everybody will not go through the complete methodology of your project. They will go to your expected outcomes. Then budget, whether your budget is realistic or not. Because many of my explanations or my talk will be very much redundant to the previous speakers, even yesterday's speakers or today's speakers. Because just now sir was mentioning that some people, I tell you another example, one live example. When we were evaluating one project, it's worth of a few lakhs. Then the principal investigator was so ambiguous with so much of ambiguity. He was mentioning that we will solve this problem of the society. Definitely, as sir mentioned, I reiterate again, with 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs, you definitely cannot solve the societal problem completely. You may try to, understand in a fragmented way that we can try to solve one or two issues of that problem, but definitely not solving the problem with some of the funding agencies or what the fund you receive from the. Be realistic. You don't have to exaggerate when you are called for the interview. Because again, I'm telling you, I'm just talking from my previous experiences, and as I've received funds, some $1 million from abroad, even in India also. So that's where we don't have to exaggerate, because the panel members are definitely not the early career researchers. The panel members might have seen hundreds or thousands of candidates like us. So be realistic, don't be exaggerate, because we sometimes always try to, tell them that, yes, sir, I will do this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever they ask, if you say yes, be realistic. Tell them that what you can achieve with that project. Tell them that what you're going to, provide the solution. It can be a simple solution. It can be in a fragmented way, but be realistic, because the evaluator definitely knows about the project. They also come preparedly. So that is one thing where we have to understand. And again, we have lots of initiatives in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Digital India, Startup India, where all bureaucrats were mentioning about these things. Definitely, I don't have to mention much about it. Economic growth engine. So we also have to understand what these three aspects are. University research powers industrial R&D, IP creations, patents and tech startups, multiplier effect on the economy. Here we have about, say for example, few hundreds of participants here. Again, I would definitely tell that every one of us will have, our own perspective. Even yesterday somebody was mentioning very high about patents. Somebody would say patents are definitely not useful until and unless the patent goes for commercialization. Definitely the academic patents, they are only, going for quantity. Again, it's a metric where they measure for something else. However, you also should question whether this particular patent, what you're writing or what you're applying or what you're submitting, is of any use for the society. It's merely for the numbering. So definitely in my opinion, I feel that it is rather better not to have any patent. Just, otherwise we're just going with the numbers. So otherwise, if you have any good patents with commercialization, we have one. Even we have we have started a company in Malaysia, where the company is doing very well now. We are even marketing our products internationally. So that's how we have to envision the things. It's just merely not for the academic patents. Multiplier effect on the economy. Whenever you talk about, I would give you one concept here. What I follow in my research, certainly I use this platform as, all of you can, also imbibe that kind of thing. It is a cooperated thing for me. I would explain you about the RISE concept, which is research, innovation, commercialization and entrepreneurship. So where I was serving an entrepreneurship university in almost a decade in abroad. So every program, let it be science, social sciences, engineering, management, every department will come up with a startup. So that's where in Indian system, every management or administrator know that majority of the times we give high priority for theory. Where in abroad you observe it as in a different way. From degree, they start with practicals. It's experiential based learning. Now we talk about it in NEP and other places. However, the practical knowledge or learning by doing is definitely a thing which we should adhere to. Okay, research active faculty bring cutting edge knowledge to classroom. Again, I try to give you an example from where, from about 12 to 13 countries I teach even now, where 7 countries I go very regularly, where they have very clear-cut processes and very clear-cut bifurcation that academy professors, where people will only focus on academic matters, curriculum development, academic teachings, maybe they will take 30% or 25% of research in their curriculum. Because at the end of the day, humans will not evaluate them. It's all automatic. So definitely research is also another important portion of any academic professors. So here also we have to, some premier institutions, as everybody knows that tier 1 institutions, they might have this kind of system. Only people are, focusing on research. Some people, they will be working on academics. But majority of the private institutions, majority of the state government universities, everybody has to teach, everybody has to do research. If this kind of bifurcation comes, certainly we can also be number 1. Yesterday I think we were listening to some numbers. We are number 3 in publications. But again, if you follow very regular updates, we are also having very similar kind of backbitings from across the world, where sometimes we also claim that we are better than Harvard. So we have to understand where we are. We have to clearly analyze where we are heading and what exactly we have. So we don't have to exaggerate anything about. Cultivates critical thinking and curiosity among students. So this is another important thing. Even one of the audiences were asking the questions whether the students can do the project within 6 months. But again, it is the lecturer's duty, the professor's duty to inculcate this kind of critical thinking. It is not merely teaching. It is not merely taking the attendance, 75% attendance or 80%, 90% attendance, then you are allowed them for examinations. But again, system has to, you have to customize your system according to the needs and requirements of your institution, where you can definitely try to inspire the students to inculcate this kind of critical thinking, analysis. Bridges theory with real world applications. So this is another thing. Now we talk about lots of startups. So that's where even I'm the advisor for few startups at Reva University and other places in Bangalore. Bridges theory with real world applications. What exactly you are framing, the objective, what solution you are giving. Let it be agriculture, let it be medical, let it be biomedical sciences, or let it be engineering. Any field that for that matter, you have to understand what exactly you are bridging the gap. Let it be a small gap, let it be a small hole. If you are filling it with your research gaps or with your research processes or with your research solutions, definitely that creates lots of impact on the society as well as the people. So attracting global talent and collaborations. This is one thing which I would like to take a little bit of time. You have to understand why the collaborations are important. I always teach my students, or even I give lots of training programs for ASEAN countries. ASEAN is a group of 7-8 countries where I'm a trained trainer for 7 countries. So I regularly go and train the administrators. That's where we tell collaborations, why collaborations are important. And again, collaborations are of various types. Short-term collaborations. Sometimes I send my students for another laboratory, they do analysis and come back. Sometimes long-term collaborations where we write projects together. It can be a decade collaborations or 2 decades collaborations. But again, as I have mentioned to you, the collaborations is definitely not everybody's cup of tea. it's very delicate, and then always you have to be, in the same mindset of your collaborator. When they run, you have to run. When they walk, you have to walk, and they crawl, you have to crawl. Otherwise, you also can go with another model where both of you have understand when you can take up the job of the first phase of the project, and the second phase of the project the other collaborator can take off. So these kind of things are very important, and why we are also talking about attracting global talent. Always we are sending the students to abroad. Sometimes these days now the scenario is we are also getting some of the students. Yes, sure. So we are also getting the students from abroad. So that is another thing where we have to attract the global talent. Bilateral partnerships and MOUs, visiting scholars and joint PhDs. So after I came back, we have started these bilateral partnerships and MOUs. Few programs are happening very, regularly. And visiting scholars, we have made a policy in our institution that visiting professors, we have about 46 visiting professors across the world, where they come and stay with us for 14 days. That is what the minimum period we have mentioned. But if they can afford the time, they can be there for 1 month also. But we take care of everything, starting from their flight tickets and then their remuneration and then other logistics, accommodation, food, etc. So, which means we are trying to, understand the pedagogies of the other parts of the world to be practiced in our institutions. Where, when I go and teach there, I also practice the same. What the pedagogies we are following in our country will be teaching them, in a very sophisticated and simplified manner. So, building sustainable futures, research on climate, sustainability, and circular economy, indigenous knowledge plus modern science. And so these were the things yesterday even some of the bureaucrats were talking. And supporting SDGs, now majority of the institutions are, and sometimes all the institutions are, falling in line of SDGs, and then we are trying to contribute to each one of the, SDG goal. Creating a knowledge economy, shift from service-based to knowledge-based industries, universities as innovation hubs. That is where now not only universities, even the affiliated colleges as well, they are trying to have these incubation centers and have these startup centers, Nest, BioNest, even the neighboring institution, Hyderabad Central University, you have very big BioNest. I am also one of the part of it. So we do lots of ideas churning, and then we have lots of brainstorming sessions, cross-disciplinary and translation research. At the end of the day, if we have ideas which are converted into translational research, then definitely it's a success. Retaining and repatriating talent. Strong research culture prevents brain drain, attracts Indian origin scholars abroad, builds academic ecosystem that nurture the talents. So I may run through the slides. So if you have any doubts, I give some time for you to have an interaction. Institutional benefits, research funding improves infrastructure, and all of us must understand, maybe the participants may be from private institutions or deemed institutions or state universities or central universities, and some of you might be the administrators. The research funding always improve the infrastructure. Otherwise also, we get some sort of funding support from the organization. The chairmans or the chancellors are definitely supporting, because we are also should be in the in the same way where the central institutions or tier 1, tier 2 organizations are going. So at least let us follow the path. So that's the mindset of the all chancellors or even the chairman of the institutions. They are supporting very, very greatly, and then hopefully we can have better infrastructure. And finally, yesterday even I think Dr. Vashini was mentioning, attaching or IIT director, Professor Murthy was mentioning about they have connected or they have enrolled 420 instruments for iSTEM. So iSTEM is a national portal where anybody anywhere can access the instruments. We are also a part of ISTEM, where we have lots of collaborations with Indian Institute of Sciences. So anybody can have that access now. Greater autonomy and recognitions, improves faculty career progression and student placements. And these are various parts of research excellence, global recognitions. So this part, sometimes people have their own definitions, definitely, but as I have mentioned earlier, when you do your quality research, when you publish your quality papers, definitely you get citations, definitely you will get H index increased. So currently, my H index is about 33 or 35, but definitely it's just not that, okay, I ask 35 H index you should get, so 35 of your articles should minimum cite by 35 times. So sometimes people say that, okay, I ask my friend to cite my paper, you cannot ask 35 times 35, I'm just giving you a number. Some professors, they have 100 H index, some they have 500 H index. They cannot keep on asking 500 people every time to cite their papers, to cite their 500 papers. That's how H index is calculated. So, which the myth, that is definitely a myth, that you can get citation just simply like that. And again, citations will get only with the quality publications. Merely in a next street we have journal, we publish it within 2 days or 3 days of time, you paid 15,000, 20,000, then definitely it is of no worth, and then you also know the value of the paper. That is what we always try to understand, and we try to inform to our students. International collaboration fundings, majority of the times why we look into international collaborations is because of the advancements of the facilities what they have. Sometimes we send the students there for 3 months. Even last January to April, 8 of my students went to Malaysia in that 1 million euro project. So they spent about 3 months and then they came back, and they have given very good feedback that the facilities what they have exposed to was tremendously good. So such kind of things we should have with international collaborations, publishing in high impact journals and conferences, participating in global consortia to brainstorm with like-minded people. So this is again local relevance in Indian context. Whatever we do, it has to be relevant with the current scenario, current trend, and with the current locality where you are in. Bridging the gap, global and local. This is another thing where when I was working in Malaysia for about more than a decade, we had a concept called glocalization, where they promote their products in a local way and they reach to the global, which means the product is from India, and then yesterday one of the speakers, I think again Professor Murthy was mentioning that when we go abroad, I give you lots of examples because I'm a biotechnologist. I work on natural product research and biomedical sciences. Once I visited Australia and I saw that curcumin, this much curcumin is about $30, which means curcumin, since ages we are using turmeric. Curcumin is an ingredient of that, an isolated compound of turmeric, where no other country better than India could have used turmeric in their regular usages. Even in fact, I think here many lady participants are also there. Even we also apply turmeric on the face. If you observe in villages, even nowadays they are also using, they also use turmeric for their face because it's very good antibiotic. Where the advanced countries, they say that in a different name, curcumin, very few grams they are selling for $30 to $60, which means the idea is from India, but somebody is marketing it in a different way. It's like world wine in a new bottle, and then they are trying to making the money. Where the technology relies in India, but other countries are making it in a different way. So we also hope that Indian brands will be available in all major advanced countries. I think I might have another 5 minutes. If I don't have time, then I can stop it here. You can just go through the slides. So always metrics that matter, institutional and individual rankings. We as an individual, do not have to blame the institution all the time and blame the system all the time, blame the funding agencies all the time. We have to be clear in our thought process. That is what I understood with the, continuous research in the same field. Even Stanford has released the top 2% scientists in the world since past 5 years. Fortunately, my name is there. It's not about, we always blame the system. We always blame the institution or funding agencies. It's always like blame game. If I don't receive a fund, it is a lacuna in my proposal where I'm not connecting the dots properly. It doesn't mean that the DST or DBT, ICR, ICMR or UGC is doing wrong with our proposal evaluations. That is what, from as far as my knowledge is concerned, as far as my experience matters, so that is what my statement to this broader audience here. And research, productivity and societal impact indicators contributing to policy, patents and products, balanced scorecards for holistic evaluations. Anyways, these are all combination of few slides, and this is about my collaborations. So this is definitely not a general slide, where I'm a biotechnologist. I collaborate with physics. We also do lots of work on nanoparticles, chemistry, lots of biological activities we conduct for chemically synthesized compounds and their derivatives. And we also work with other biologies like microbiology and virology. We worked on various, even we worked on coronavirus as well. Nanotechnology, computer sciences, management, medicine and biomedicine. This is what I follow always. Collaboration is the only mantra for the success. And definitely if it is an individual project, individual publication, you don't have to go for collaborations, but definitely if you have to go far, walk together. If you want to go fast, you can walk alone. Academia industry collaborations, this is one slide. I think I will stop here. I might have another few slides after this, but I just wanted to give you a gist of it. Planning is most important for anything. I think all must know that, and you all will agree with me. And another thing is, very most important thing is proactiveness. So lethargy is another thing where we see that once we get something and then we feel that, okay, we get something and we already got something. But proactiveness is very important when you have to be in the forefront in research or academia. So same goes to academia and research, international collaborations, internal collaborations and external collaborations. It is mainly with the interest, purely with your own interest. And again, I have mentioned this, short-term plans or short-term collaborations or long-term collaborations. Hand-in-hand cooperation should be always there. It is not merely from one-sided, it is always from both the sides. And internationalization, again, I have mentioned why we have to go for internationalization. At the end of the day, you have to have your sustainable collaborations. It's not that today I meet somebody and then tomorrow, I don't know them. You need to, have that rapport and to have your collaborations in a very sustainable manner. Otherwise, the collaborations will not last long. So this is actually a task. Definitely, I cannot do it now. So let us think out of the box. Let us come out of the comfort zone. Majority of the times, who complains? What I feel, I'm sorry, I may hurt some people, but if we complain a lot, it means the individual is sitting in the comfort zone. So we have to in search of the opportunities. It's not about the age. It's not about the area what we do. Every area, every discipline, including social sciences, have opportunities. You just go and hunt for the opportunities, that's all. So for that, we always have to think out of the box. And these are various things, various, bio products which we have done. I was talking about this vinegar, which is very much equivalent to apple cider vinegar. We have produced rambutan and dokong vinegar from tropical fruits of Malaysia. And we have got very big fundings. That is what I've mentioned, few $1 million we have got so far. And this is one of the food agro industry where I was the consultant. And the spirulina, which we have done this project during Corona, where it boosts lots of immunity. And this is stingless bee honey, which is another pet project of mine. We have also done some poverty eradication projects, and we have given lots of employability for the poorer people. This project was also in Malaysia.